Board games, board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, we're not gonna shout. I am starting off this morning with a little bit of singing, and Sally, who is known for crafting, is over on that side dancing, and her name is Sally Jones, and here we are in our respective homes. But despite that, through the magic of the internet, we seem to be together, and that is what you get on board games. Board games, that's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hey!
Well, that was amazing. I mean, I didn't feel particularly sad, but now I think if I was, you know, near tears, I would be instantly uplifted with that.
Oh, very sweet. And good morning, Alan. It's lovely to see you as always. Good morning, Sate. And I hope that you did hear the bo this morning. I made sure to just keep doing. Wait, Sate can't hear me. Oh. Can you hear Sally?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Okay. And yeah, hello to David Dobson, who I hope is watching me. And Nick Butler, it is so lovely to have you all with us. These are, you know, people who I'm honored to kind of call, you know, yeah, I know that, so we were talking about the definition of friend in German. Apparently, in Germany, there's this very specific definition of friend, and it's like a very exclusive club. So you can't just go around calling anyone a friend in German, because that is a dangerous thing to do, apparently. Yeah. So, thank you. But yeah, I'm going to call you all friends. That's Tally. I believe no, Talisman Island. I can't remember who that. But it's lovely to see you.
Waves.
Anyway, so, I am Bez. It is approximately brunch time, depending on where in the world you are. I mean, if you were a little bit further west, then maybe it's not even breakfast time. Maybe it's like 3 a.m. in the morning in some parts of the world. And if you're at that part of the world, then, well, I guess you're watching after the facts, and hello. Anyway, so I am honored to have with me the wonderful Sally Jones of the Crafting Jones.
Hello,
Sally.
Hello.
And
good morning.
You have made some amazing things. Oh, I wish I'd put on your hats now. I just realized that I really should have put on the hat.
Oh,
yeah. And you've got flowers and stuff. You've got some amazing work that you've done, and I'd like to talk about how you got started, and I'd like to talk about why craft things out of board game components. Like, why? I mean, not right now, but let's get to it in a few minutes. That's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
And Sate has heard a rumor that you're a legend, and we've got stories about you that we will get into.
Oh, that's such lovely compliments. Thank you.
First of all, we need to talk about a brilliant thing. Here's a little thing which is brilliant.
I think I've decided that jazz hands are brilliant.
Oh, jazz hands are always appropriate.
Yes. And yeah, I taught a couple of my friends yesterday, in fact, about shower of jazz, which always makes me laugh because it's insane and sounds rude. But it is actually a dance move. So Yeah.
Also,
and you wouldn't let me
jazz
have
hands are the
my
brilliant
other
thing.
brilliant things. So
Jazz hands are the brilliant
jazz
thing.
hands. We're going with jazz
Yes,
hands.
because it's such a wonderful expression of joy
Yeah.
and energy. And it's also, you know, it's like the applause in the deaf
For the
community.
deaf community.
Just so
Yeah.
and also, if you've got a meeting, it's less disruptive to kind of do that in the LARPing and tabletop RPG community. I know it's a big thing. And so, yeah, jazz hands to show, yeah.
Yeah. And if I ever get round to actually making my tabletop board game, which has not progressed much recently, that would be my start condition. Who has the best jazz hands?
And morning, Michelle. It's lovely to see you. And we've got a lot of shouts out to the shower of jazz. So now let's talk about.
Thank you for the confirmation.
The recent highlights. Listening to music and seeing the sights. Just doing jazz hands. Just applauding myself all the time, because why not?
Exactly.
So, recent highlights. For me, my recent highlights was just kind of having a lovely, affirming evening last night with a bunch of people, but especially with Xate and Catherine Morgan, who was the first time there, and had some lovely messages from Catherine. And that was probably my, like, having that human connection, playing games even via this medium, where, you know, I would love it if I were in Sheffield, or if we had a little teleporter and I could trust just you. You know, not everyone in Sheffield. I'm not going to go crazy because there's a lot of numpties. And, you know, we've got a pandemic going on. But I would, if we had a little teleporter, I'm sorry, Sally, you wouldn't be my first pick, but you would be up there. You would definitely be up there. And, you know, if I could have like a small bubble, you know, and geography weren't an issue, it would be lovely having you over to play games. But even so, just playing games with other people, having lovely messages, that is my recent highlight. What about you?
Fabulous. I would say seeing friends definitely has been a highlight recently. And friends have been massively supportive. It turns out I found out on Friday that I fractured my foot, which sucks, and is really, really painful. But yeah, my friends have been really supportive, and I've managed. I can't drive at the minute, and I have various hospital appointments and checkups and X-rays and things booked in for it that I can't get to. So people have been supporting me with stuff like that and bringing me shopping and making sure I'm entertained, and yeah, it's been lovely. So out of something quite crap has come some wonderful stuff, which is really good.
Yeah. In dire times, sometimes it's lovely to see the support that comes outpouring. And we've got Nick, who saw the comet last night. I didn't realise that there was a comet shower. To be fair, I don't know if I would have been able to see it over here. It was quite cloudy, and there's still a fair bit of light pollution, even from our garden.
Yeah. It is quite bright, though. It's comet near-wise. I've managed to see it from... I mean, I know, obviously, London is a lot brighter than Sheffield, but I've managed to see it from the city centre. So you might be lucky, because it's still going on. You should still be able to see it for the next couple of weeks, I think.
We've got other shouts out for Catherine Morgan, who is a lovely person. Hi, Kath.
She is fabulous. Yeah.
And moving on to games. What have we been playing? What are their names? Games. So I only played the two games which people will know about, which were Puppy Dog Tales and Paper Alphabetical, which still needs a better name. Paper Alphabetical, that's my sheets of paper from when we played it. It's another one of the games that I've been making for the L deck, where it's kind of like Alphabetical. You've got 5 lines and 5 skips, and once you move down, you can never move back, and you're basically choosing, do you put down a card or do you skip it? And Xate, very impressively, off camera, spent 15 minutes doing an improv skit about it. I'm going to say that. It was very impressive to see. That was actually one of my highlights. But Puppy Dog Tales, I really enjoyed Puppy Dog Tales, even though I felt like Alan couldn't get super involved from the comments, and it felt a bit sad that, you know, Alan wasn't quite as involved as we were. But because something like this, at least you can play along properly, even from the comments. But yeah, with Puppy Dog Tales, the thing I liked about it was that each round was about maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and it felt quite complete. And so it's something that we might throw in if we want to play a game that's a little bit faster. And so we decided, well, everyone likes it, giving it either +1 or +2. And so it's going to be promoted to a Thursday night game from now on.
Awesome.
And yeah, there we go, a bit of shout out for that. And yeah, that's actually true. Xate did totally set up Alan for, yeah, bringing in stuff. That was a lot of good times. Oh, and apparently Neowise the Comet is supposed to be visible for the next week in the UK, and it's better or best at the weekend. So are you saying that I should just not bother about it and only really spend a bit of time staying up on Saturday maybe? But yeah, so those are what games I've been playing. So everyone, feel free to share what are your recent highlights and what games have you been playing? Sally, games?
I recently played Saboteur, which I really enjoyed. Although I did end up being the Saboteur every time.
I enjoyed that game.
Which was interesting. I think I managed to bluff my way a lot better in the first round than I did by the third round. But that was really fun. And I did some in-person gaming for the first time in ages last week, which was amazing. Although I cannot remember the name of the game. It was a brilliant campaign game, and it was the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians kind of vying for control, and yeah, it was really good fun. And it was even better because it was in person. I definitely enjoy I get more out of gaming with other people actually around. Although I like video game, playing virtually it's just not the same. Like video chats like this are amazing, but it would obviously be much better to actually see you in person.
Yeah, if I could see you and if it was safe to give you a proper hug and everything. Yeah. We've got a lovely little bits of poetry here. Saboteur Sally, Sally's not your ally. Sally's taking down your ally there, Saboteur Sally.
That's a lovely.
I mean, it works better visually than spoken out loud, just because ally, it breaks up the rhyme a bit, but I do really like that.
It's good. Well done, Nick.
And we've got a lovely thing, Xate's talking about Catherine, just at moments where you're like, oh, I'd like to be friends with this person.
Oh, that's adorable.
And hello, Andrew. It's lovely to see you, and I hope that you and Emily are generally well. Andrew got around to sending some print and plays to a printing company. So Andrew's been playing a bunch of Dice of the Living Dead. Interesting. I don't know that one. And QB's been playing Bargain Quest, playing Silver and Gold. Ooh, I've heard great things about that one. And yeah, we've had a lot of lovely things going on and games to enjoy. And for me, I'll get into it. I'm hoping to play some games tonight. But let's get stuck into my favorite bit. First, thank you everyone for joining along and commenting along. Whether you're commenting or whether you choose to lurk, I really appreciate it. Please do feel to ask questions of Sally primarily. I mean, I'm here just as a host, but I'm here every day, so like ask Sally the questions. And please do like, follow, all that good stuff. And now back onto the show with my favorite section, which is questionably quick questions.
Woo!
Are you ready?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you have breakfast?
No.
When did you wake up?
5 a.m.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the last thing you ate?
Well, tea at the minute, or chocolate last night.
Do you always wake up so early?
I don't sleep well, so
I'm sorry.
yes, I suppose so. Thank you.
Iced coffee or hot tea?
Hot tea.
What's a great thing to eat or drink whilst playing games?
Anything. I love
Really?
food.
Anything?
I mean, it depends on the game and it depends who you're playing with. But yeah.
Okay.
I've been munching down on some chow mein while I've been playing board games, and not spilled anything, and it's not spoiled the game. So it's all good.
Yeah, it all depends on the game, I guess. Like if you're playing Magic the Gathering with Black Lotuses, then I think you'd want
then
far more
probably
pristine environments in that situation.
I think I'd have like gloves on and like not have anything else around just in case.
Oh yeah, maybe with everything in hard plastic cases.
Yeah, sensible.
When's the last time you spoke to a real person?
Yesterday.
And who was it?
It will have been Ant, who is my builder.
Oh. Building works going on?
Yeah, they're redeveloping some things.
Books or podcasts?
Books.
Which is the last one you read?
I haven't actually read a book in quite a long time, but I listen to audiobooks a lot.
Hi, Jess. And Sally, what's the last physical game you played?
It will be that one that I can't remember the name of with the green. Yeah.
What's your favourite colour to play?
Purple.
Good choice.
I mean, I literally have the aircon. I play purple mug. I'm on it. Because purple is the best colour. Just in life.
And what do you prefer, cards or cubes?
Cards.
Wooden meeple or plastic figurine?
Wooden meeple.
Stacking games horizontally or vertically?
Horizontally, because otherwise your bits can fall out.
And
nobody likes bits that fall out.
No, we want to keep our bits inside.
Keep them contained.
Indeed. Art or rules?
Art.
Name 3 board games you love.
Unstable Unicorns, although I know it's not a board game, it's a card game, but it's still awesome.
Yeah, it's all in the same realm of tabletop physical games.
Yeah. Dominion and Evolution.
Good choices. Do you play solo games?
Not really. I have played a few solo games and I have enjoyed them. But part of what I love about gaming is that social interaction. And because I work for myself, by myself, from my house, I spend quite a lot of time on my own anyway. And I like my own company. But yeah, I use board games as a way of interacting with others often.
And finally, do you have a board game shop or cafe you would like to give a shout out to?
Oh, yes, I have both. I would love to shout out to Patriot Games in Sheffield. They are totally awesome. and also the Treehouse Board Game Cafe, also in Sheffield. Also awesome.
Oh yes, I've been to both.
Yes.
Lovely people,
Yeah.
and
And
I
very
am
knowledgeable.
slightly biased because they have paid me money in return for games. But yeah, even before Treehouse had paid me any money, I went in there and I spent money on their food. I did some playtesting there. Lovely people.
Yeah,
And
they are
yeah,
lovely.
it's a lovely atmosphere with wide, spacious things.
Yeah, and they're both back open now.
Yeah, things in England are starting to open in a measured way. I know that we had Leanne yesterday talking about Fanboy Free, how yeah, there's literally no food because the real reason is because Dave, the owner, hates food waste. So basically, Dave's like, yeah, if we started making food, it might end up getting thrown away, or I'd just basically eat it all, and that's not good for me. And so, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Makes
And yeah, so Dave started up the board gaming before the cafe, which seems slightly backwards, but you know, you need to do what works for you individually.
Yeah.
Now, finally, can I ask you to have a summary of what's a typical day for you over? Yeah, how was your day yesterday? And actually, let me ask you. Let's do a little bit of a COVID-related check-in. Like, how have you been? How has it affected you and your business? Because let's actually get back into define your business for us, if you could.
I own and run the Crafting Jones. I create geek and shabby chic creations for you and your home. So I have two product lines. I have a shabby chic vintage style side of the business, which I generally doesn't come up in game conventions, and I have the geeky side where I take dice and meeple and cards and various other things and turn them into accessories like earrings that I'm currently wearing, or homeware, sculptures, gift boxes, Scrabble frames. I designed greetings cards. I make key rings, necklaces, all sorts of things.
And so that's something that you've managed to get going as a full-time business, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how has the last few months been? What changes have been going on for you personally, and what has been a typical day for you, let's say over the past month?
So the changes are obviously not doing any shows or conventions. That's been a big difference for me this year, which has been really sad because I love conventions. It's one of my favorite parts of my job is actually going to conventions. But so I've been selling just online, and it's been a weird sort of, I've had no sales for a while and then a mad rush of sales and then it's dipped again and then it's peaked. It's this, my normal sale pattern sort of follows like a trend across the year. It will, it gets higher in the run up to Valentine's Day, and then it gets higher in the run up to Easter, and obviously Christmas is a big time. But sales have just been completely random recently. Yeah, but yeah, I'm still pootling along, which is nice. And yeah, I've made quite a lot more custom orders recently, which is brilliant because it's one of the other things that I really love doing is actually creating something unique for someone. So that's been great.
And so it sounds like it's really been making things a lot more unpredictable and
Yeah.
I very much understand the desire to connect with people, to kind of be at those conventions. And myself, I'm feeling like Virtually Expo has almost all the hassle of a UK Games Expo, and I don't feel like it's going to have a very big fraction of the payoff, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just because, at least for me, my games are things that really benefit from people being there in person.
Yeah.
And whether it is a physical game or a speed game, those aren't really things that you can get the sense of. And yes, we have been playing things like Freemail or Micro Muckle online, but those aren't even what I would consider my best games. I would consider something like Kitty Cataclysm or Wibble itself, and something like that. Now Categorical by Tom Cauldron, also from Sheffield, is one of the best style deck games, and it is a bit sad not being able to reach these people. But it's good to hear that you seem to have been able to at least stay afloat, so I'm quite happy for that. Let's now get stuck into the main topic, which is just basically having a chat, and as we talk about all these things that you do. And
I recognize those hands.
So you seem to be quite a tactile person, I guess.
Yes, I definitely am. And not just with dice. Yeah, I like dancing, and I tend to do partner dancing, so that's quite tactile. And I love hugs. Hugs are the best, and they are the thing that I have missed most, definitely, over COVID. Right, yeah. And there were some meeple key-rings.
Let's go back to the start, as I sometimes like to do. Let's start with the why, and then dip our toes into, I mean, obviously you've got the blasé answer of why not, but let's start at the start. Let's start at the inspiration. Let's move into what you enjoy about it. Let's move into the potential pitfalls, and then take on questions from everyone. And we will absolutely take questions along the way, so if you have questions, please don't be shy, just type them up. But how did you get started? Can you describe how did you get into, what came first, your interest, fashion or gaming?
Well, neither really, I suppose. I've always been a gamer since I was a kid, and I've always enjoyed the vintage sort of styling. But how starting business came about was actually I was really ill. I spent a long time in hospital, and to the point where I couldn't have a normal job. I had to leave my job, and I was really ill, and spent basically most of my time on the sofa or in bed, with various problems. So, and this went on for months of not really being able to do anything, and it was quite a rubbish time, really. I couldn't go out and see people. It wasn't safe for me to even like shower without someone in the flat and things like that. But I'm not very good at not doing things. So even though I wasn't physically capable of doing a lot for a lot of the time, I got bored really quickly. And there's only so long you can binge watch stuff before it isn't fun anymore. And I made a hair flower just because I wanted something pretty to cheer myself up. And that's how I started the Crafting Jones. I started making the odd bit of things, and then because I could sit, and if I then needed to lie down for 3 hours on a Tuesday afternoon, I could do that without it being a problem. And the selling online came, because, as I say, you know, it started off very slow and very small. But I've always been into gaming, and I like being a nerd. And I wanted to expand my product range, so that was how I got into doing the geek stuff as well. And I had helped a few friends out at conventions, so I'd helped my friend Tom at Redwell Games, so demoing his games and promoting his stuff.
Tom Lovewell.
Yeah, Tom Lovewell. So yeah, and then it sort of, I just got a load of stuff and started making pretty things with them.
It's awesome, and we've got some people saying that we should have more fashion in games, and yeah, we've also got some other shout outs for the love of hugs. And speaking of Ludo Cherry, I am having 3D Wild of Ludo Cherry coming on tomorrow to also talking about fashion and gaming, because
her stuff is beautiful.
Yeah.
And skirts with pockets, amazing, the best thing ever.
Yes. And so, what was the reception like when? Because you've got these little gift boxes, you've got flowers, you've got keyrings, you've got all sorts. So what was, how did you move from, okay, these are something I'm making, to, you said, okay, it was easy to sell because you can do it whilst lying down almost. What was the reception like?
Positive, really positive. I think people appreciate the handcrafted, handmade nature. It's not something you can just get from, you know, any kind of high street shop. So I think that that really spoke to people. And because I do custom orders, I think people appreciate that as well. They can make changes and get something that they want. People tend to buy presents and gifts for others from me, so I can personalize most things. Like one of the matte paper flowers that I think was up previously, so I've made like first anniversary presents out of like the specific, so I've used a map that shows the specific area where the couple got married and things like that. And the music paper flowers, I've created ones with specific pieces of music and all that sort of thing. And then there was the baby frame that was up a minute ago, with the safety pins. You know, that's completely custom. I worked with my lovely customer to create something that they wanted, how they wanted it. Yeah, and I like it gives me a nice outlet of being creative, because although I handcraft all my kind of original products that I've designed and made, sometimes drilling like 800 dice to turn into key rings and earrings can get quite tedious, and it hurts my back. Whereas doing something different now and again is really good and can help you come up with other product ideas, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, the closest I've come to that is just doing a lot of cutting of stickers, because those were all hand cut. And so I think I've definitely done about, well, for this batch, I did about 4,000 or 5,000, but I also did the 5,000 of the first batch that I did. But yeah, even that, when you've kind of got to do it, okay, 4,000 over as quickly as you can because you need to get it all out for a Kickstarter, then it's like, actually, this all takes a lot of time. At the start, it's like, okay, I can do it whilst watching the telly, it's not too bad. But very quickly, it's like, wow, just an easy snip here. You don't think about it.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, actually, Odin, absolutely, if you want some LDEC gift boxes Sally would love to make things for you. And we've got shout outs for skirts with pockets. And
So Jim.
I think Nick means those safety pins were, oh yeah, genius. And this is a really interesting idea. So Kate made her own flowers for their wedding, and they used a German-English engineering dictionary.
Amazing.
Because that was something that was meaningful to them. And yeah, because Nick
That's
asks
adorable.
about, oh sorry,
The needing translation. It's really sweet.
Nick asks a technical question. Have you built a jig to improve the dice drilling process? It sounds like something that could be created in a resin printer, and Nick is wondering about the specifics of the design method.
No, I've not. I drill them, so I have a workhorse, and I sort of, they get held in that, and then I just drill them by hand. This looks really dramatic. Yeah, I just drill them by hand. There is no rig. And because I have to change the drill bit for basically every dice that I drill, because the plastic melts onto the drill bit. So I have to, so literally every dice I drill, I have to then take that drill bit out, put that drill bit in acetone to dissolve the plastic off, and put a new drill bit in. So I have about 40 drill bits of the same size. So so by the time I've gone through all 40, the first one will have had the plastic dissolved off it. So I then use that, and then kind of, so it's like a cyclical process, but it does add a lot of time and a lot of faff. Yeah.
That does sound intense.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there is still some possible room to improve in upscaling, improving your own tools but there's going to be a lot of costs involved in doing so. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say so. And also, I'm not sure it would actually increase efficiency at the minute. I mean, because I've tried everything that I can think of to up the efficiency of drilling the dice. For example, like freezing the dice to see if, them being colder, and having the drill bits dipped in acetone first, and all sorts of things that haven't made a difference. So yeah, that's but I will give it more thought.
Alan asks if you've tried tile drill bits. I don't know what tile drill bits are.
No, I've not tried tile drill bits. I don't think it's the bit that's the problem. It's the plastic will still stick because it melts, because of the speed of the drill bit. It melts onto the plastic from the dice melts onto the drill bit. Yeah, and if you're not quick enough pulling the drill back, you end up with the entire dice like stuck to the drill bit. When I first started doing this and I was testing things out, I did end up with basically like dice lollipops like stuck on drill bits until I worked out a technique to not do that. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like how did you even get the dice off the first time you ended up with this?
A couple of them I can't get them off. Sometimes I can, if I reclamp the dice and then start the drill again, sometimes it can like twist that, it will start spinning, but sometimes that's it. I mean, luckily that doesn't happen anymore because I now know what I'm doing. But yeah, initially when I first started, yeah, I did end up with a couple of dice lollipops.
And Jess just says hello, and
Hello.
yeah, this sounds like a terrible idea.
Oh, a hand crank. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. I did try. I have. So sometimes when I drill meeple, because they're made out of wood, that's obviously it's a lot quicker with a electrical drill. But occasionally I will like hand drill it. I have a mini one that you just sort of spin in your hand, and that's fine. But it does take longer. But there's no way it works on dives. I have tried.
And I don't know what exactly Nick means by this.
Ooh,
Nick is volunteering
Nick.
to. So I don't know what that means. The plastic will bind.
Not sure, but I guess we will find out. Nick, the scientist, will let us know.
Presumably, Nick understands things.
Yeah.
Because the bits grabbing is unwanted.
Yeah. Yes, you know me so well, Nick. The bit grabbing. Yes, we don't grab other people's bits without permission.
Or, yes, plastic when drilled will bind and grip to the drill bits.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's all these things that you just would not have thought of. I just would not have thought of this problem had I not been talking to you. And looking at, this shabby chic thing, this is so beautiful.
Thank you.
What is this made out of?
So that's sort of like faux silk that I've made the petals out of, and then I've scorched the edges to give it, because most flowers aren't one block colour. I've scorched the edges to give it that, and then and that also helps the petals curl as well.
I wonder, have you considered, this might be a terrible, terrible idea, but burning cards?
I haven't, no, because I think I'd probably set fire to my house.
I mean, as long as you do it above, like, I don't know, like a metal tin of water, I think it would be safe. Just to give it like a little blackened effects around the edges, I think it could totally work. I
will give it a try.
Awesome. I look forward to hopefully seeing some pictures and results.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how you started and a little about the technical stuff. Odin suggests using oil to cool the bit.
I've tried that.
It doesn't work. Walk us through the
but I'm appreciating all these suggestions. Thanks very much, guys.
I mean, talk us through everything, because this seems to be something that, you know, we don't normally get to talk about this specificity of something like this. Do you have a list of everything that you've tried and why everything did not work, just for curiosity and science?
I mean, I don't have like a specific list. I didn't. I think probably when I started a couple of years ago, I made a note of ideas to try and then crossed them off when that didn't work. So so as I say, I've tried acetone on the drill bits and oil. I've tried freezing the dice. What else have I tried? I've tried using like a water jet to help. I've tried freezing the drill bits as well.
I mean, what happens when you freeze it? Would it mean that the dice shatters or something?
No, it doesn't really affect anything because it still melts the plastic. I mean, the dice is cold to hold, but it still melts the plastic because of the speed of the drill bit.
And so basically none of these even had any visual effect or change.
They didn't change whether the plastic stuck to the dice to the drill bit or not. But
other than the suggestion for using lasers.
Yeah, lasers. I like it.
Okay, so let's move to what is good about it. Like, why do you think that this, and out of curiosity, which does better, the shabby chic or the geek chic?
They're both about the same, because I have the target demographic is very different, but they're both popular. So yeah, about the same, to be honest.
And what would you say is good about it now that hopefully you are, you know, in a position where it's not just about your physical abilities, that you have to be prone in bed for long periods of times?
Yeah,
What
no, I am better now.
What brings you joy, and why do you think other people grab these things?
I like being creative. I like having the opportunity to make things. I like being able to dress up in silly tutus when I go to conventions. Yeah, I like having something that I actually produce. And it's amazing when I'm at conventions or in game shops or wherever and actually see someone wearing something that I've made, or when people send me pictures of an art frame that I've made up on their wall and that kind of thing. It really makes me happy. And it's amazing to see that it makes them happy as well. It's good.
Yeah, it's about that spreading of the joy. I guess it's whatever creativity you do, whether it's a song or a game or a hat or whatever, you want to kind of reach out to people, isn't it?
Yeah.
And why do you think, what do you think connects with people? Let's say someone wants to get Pokemon, well, let's say someone wants to get the categorical deck, which isn't out yet, but let's say that was out in however many months' time, and they want to turn that into some flowers. Maybe they want to have specific letters on it that represents them. How would they go about that process?
You can send me an email or a message on Facebook or a message on Twitter or a message on Instagram. But probably the best way it would be on my website. I have a contact me page on the custom order page that's on my website. And then basically send me a message of what you're thinking, and I will reply, and we will go from there and create something wonderful.
And what would you say are the potential pitfalls, of doing these kinds of things? When you make stuff, what are you quite concerned about, if anything?
I suppose if anything happens to me, like anyone who runs a business for themselves, if anything happens to me, then I don't have any. If I can't keep doing the business for a while, say I get ill again, I wouldn't be able to keep going at the same rate. So I suppose that's a potential downside. I suppose if people suddenly decided to stop liking dice and board games, then that could be, people wouldn't want to wear dice earrings anymore, so that could be bad. Although, to be honest, board games are awesome, so I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and when we look at your stand, for example, at Aircon here, obviously this Aircon was very different from a normal one.
Yeah.
How was that for you? How did you find the atmosphere?
I mean, it was definitely different to the previous Aircons I've been to and worked at. It was still lovely, but it was, I think there was sort of like a feeling of concern in the air, because people didn't know what was happening with COVID and lockdown and being ill and that sort of thing. And I know quite a few people who couldn't go because they were already, if they had health conditions, they were already kind of preparing for that. But it was still really good. I think it was still positive. I think people there were still enjoying themselves and, supporting traders and exhibitors like me. So that was good.
Andrew January asks, what are your favourite conventions as a vendor?
I would say that Tabletop Scotland will forever have a special place in my heart because it was the first convention that I exhibited at with my own stuff. It was my first game convention. It wasn't my first show. I did craft fairs and things before that. But to be honest, I've enjoyed all of the conventions that I've exhibited at. The organisers are always lovely, and it's great to trade alongside other people who have their businesses. It's great to meet up. It's great to meet new people. Yeah, I really love it. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan and Dave and everyone responsible for Tabletop Scotland just did a brilliant job.
Yeah,
and I think it
so well organised.
underscores the amount of needs that there was for a proper big convention, and to have something like that in Perth, where people are clearly travelling in for it.
Yeah.
But that is the thing about conventions. If you've got a good convention, you will be travelling in. And Perth is actually reasonably cheap to stay in.
Yeah. And it's gorgeous. Scotland is gorgeous. I love it up there.
Yeah. This is Concord.
This is Concord in Bristol. Yeah.
Tell me about this because I've never been.
So it's in Bristol. They've moved to a new venue this year. Well, back in February. And oh look, there's some of the edible sweets. Nom nom nom. They're very delicious. And yeah, so it's now held at a hotel. I think it's the Manor Hotel. Yeah, it's lovely. It's quite small, but very nice. And there's gaming and RPGs, and there's a nice stall there full of pretty things.
What would you say are the most worthwhile conventions as an exhibitor, like for you? Because UK Games Expo, it's such a big thing. There's a lot more foot traffic, but presumably it's a little bit more expensive to run that than Tabletop Scotland.
Yes, it's a lot more expensive. So I'd say probably Aircon, Tabletop Scotland, UK Games Expo, and Dragon Meet are probably the more profitable conventions for me. But I still love doing the smaller conventions like Concord and Meeple Summit and ChillCon and Robin, which unfortunately didn't go ahead this year. Because they're brilliant, and I love interacting with people. I love interacting with gamers. I love interacting with customers, and it's because I normally only sell online. I don't have a physical shop. That it's a great way to actually show people what I'm doing, and as I said, it helps make me feel sort of properly part of the gaming community. And I think if I only sold online and didn't attend conventions, I think I'd feel quite removed from it. It's like the gaming in person. Although I've done virtual gaming online and it's been brilliant. It's been brilliant to see people. It's not the same as actually doing it in person. And I think that for me is the thing with conventions.
Yeah, and I think that I mean, this is almost like a Valentine's Day thing, although it was posted at the end of January, I guess. Oh yeah, in
Yeah,
time for
in the run
people to
up
play
to
for
Valentine's. Yeah.
Valentine's Day, of course. And it's like, yeah, play together, stay together. It feels very much like social board gaming is all about those human connections and
Yeah.
that love, whether that's a love of, you know, a single partner, or whether it's the love of friendship or family love, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, Nick Butler has another shout out for you. Sally sartorially stands out as a singular stand, stopping to share such superb showpieces.
Thanks, Nick. You're brilliant.
And Sate wants you to go to Berlin Con.
I will add it to my list of future cons to attend.
I think they are normally in June, something like that, and this year they might be going into December. We will see what happens.
Ooh,
but yeah, it's been a weird year, but it makes me wonder, with all the conventions, are these, what's the primary purpose? Is it advertising? Is it showing letting people touch your things? Is it your
my products?
Yes. Or so is it to allow people to see
see things in person?
Yes. Or is it, and like that's advertising and that potential promotion, or is it the emotional aspect?
Oh, I think it's a combination, really. I mean, yeah, so for online sales, I try and take as many photos as is feasible of different angles, and I try and show the size. I try and show things in use, like that I'm wearing hair flower, so that gives you an idea of the size and shape, etc. But yeah, and close-up shots and all sorts. But it's not the same as actually being able to touch something and pick things up and fiddle with things and try things out. So I think that's definitely a good thing of conventions. But it's also because game conventions obviously are the people who go to them are my target demographic for the geek chic side of my products. It's brilliant for advertising because sometimes people don't know who I am or don't know that there's someone out there making dice earrings or meeple key rings, and then once they learn about me, they then tend to buy online from me after subsequently, which is great. And yeah, it's brilliant to have that social and emotional aspect as well. Some of my friends, I've got friends across the country, and sometimes I don't see them unless I see them at a gaming convention, because we all lead busy lives these days. So it's a great way to catch up with people and meet new people. I'd say I've definitely made real friends with people who I've met at gaming conventions, and that's just fantastic.
Yeah, and did you know, so Tom Lovewell, who made this game that I just skipped
Six Gun Showdown.
How did you know Tom beforehand?
So I've known Tom for quite a few years now. God, I feel old. I know Tom because I know his wife, and I'm in that group of friends. We game together, we go geocaching together, we do all sorts of things. It's good. Yeah, so we were friends anyway, pre gaming, pre me having a business. Yeah, I was friends with them when I was still an engineer, which was many years ago now.
Odin asks,
oh, sorry, I was just reading the
on
question.
go. Yeah, Odin asks if
asking,
sales have been
you
lower
know,
because of the lack of conventions.
I'd say not. They have definitely been lower. In terms of, weirdly, the geek sales have been lower than normal because obviously I have quite a high turnover at conventions. Yeah, so I generally have to make new stock for every convention that I go to, even though I try and keep a fairly decent size of stock anyway, but I always have to make more stock for every convention that I go to. So I've not had the same kind of turnover of stock, definitely. But sales have still been strong, but just only online. Yeah. And as I say, I've been making more custom things recently, which has been really fun.
I mean, I guess making a custom thing, it's almost like you've got that connection to that other person that you're making it for.
Yeah.
Like, you feel a bit more like, okay, that's something I'm doing for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's been a really lovely chat. If we've got any more questions, or then please do ask. Sally, I would like you, if someone else is out there and are watching this and are thinking, hey, I've never thought about making stuff out of cards, but maybe I'd like to give it a go myself. Would you give them your blessing, and would you have any tips for them?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think it's great when creatives support each other. I'd say that about other traders that I've met and other small businesses. We're one of the most supportive communities that I know of, which is fantastic. So yeah, I would say that if you're wanting to do that, then I would say, before diving in, I've unfortunately known some people who've got super excited by an idea, which is awesome, but then dove in and started actually buying things to make things out of, having not done their costings and their due diligence first. So I would say it might be boring. It might not be the exciting creative side of things, but having the paperwork and the admin sorted is really important, especially before you sort of spend money to get materials and stock and things like that, and make sure that it is viable and profitable, and do market research, check that what you're doing is something that people want. Yeah, so yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I wasn't actually meaning it even necessarily as a business, just genuinely. I mean, and I love the fact that we got together to do this.
Yeah, we're so pretty.
Things to, to Essen, but it's like it's like with game design, and speaking of game design, we should probably touch upon your own thing. Before we do that, what board game piece have you considered crafting but not found a reason or opportunity to?
Ooh, I had an idea to make a dice tower, and I wanted it to look like a fairy house, like a fantasy. I'm not explaining this very well. Like a fairy house, fantasy, princessy tower thing with like flowers. I can picture it in my head what I want. But I because it would use so much material to actually create, it wouldn't be feasible to make on a big scale. If someone wanted one as a custom order and were prepared to pay for it, that would be awesome. But it's not viable as a sort of general product, which is a shame. I'm glad I'm making sense to someone. And I've thought about doing things. I've thought about creating jewelry out of minis. I know quite a few people who design and make their own minis, and I think they're brilliant. I've thought about making jewelry out of them, but I've not got round to it because I've been so busy with other things, really. And I only have so much space in my house, and it's already very, very, very full of boxes. And as shown by this little video, I only have so much space at craft fair, at game conventions and craft fairs. I mean, I already generally have 3 tables worth 3 6-foot tables. Is my sort of now standard, and it's always full. So I don't necessarily have space for an entire new product line at the minute. So that's another issue. Yeah, it's a fully packed car.
That is Tabletop Scotland in reverse.
Yeah.
Let me touch upon very quickly. I don't know, Jess, if you saw that there was a card that said Jess upon it, because just happened to be Jack, Jill, and Jess as parts of your swing dancing prototype.
Yes.
Was that always going to happen? Do you think it's just going to happen to the majority of gamers, that if you stick with it at a certain point, you'll be like, okay, I want to design a game?
Oh, I think possibly. I mean, whether people I think, like, there's a saying that everyone has a book in them. You know, like, everyone has a story that they could write, and they could, you know, everyone has, but whether people actually then do anything with the idea that they have or is a different matter. And I think it's probably the same with gaming. I think probably everyone has something that they could make a game out of, and they have an idea for something, but whether you then take it to the next stage and actually try and do something with that is a different issue. But I mean, you know, my business, I take inspiration from the things that I love doing. You know, the outdoors, dancing, vintage style, gaming, RPGs. You know, I think that's one of the reasons I love my business so much, is because they're all things that I love. And I always said I would never sell something that I wouldn't personally, well, don't really like, or B, wouldn't personally buy myself. I won't sell something that I wouldn't buy, because I think you have to love what you do. You have to have passion. And I think if you're selling something that you're not really that fussed about, or you're making things that you're not really a fan of, what are you doing? Like, that's not, like, let someone else make that, you know, someone who does like that thing, whatever that thing is, you know, let them make that, and you make things that you love, because I think people can see that passion and see that, you know.
I mean, there's the whole discussion of the value of ideas and versus the execution. And I know that Sate is talking about, okay, at a certain point, how, you know, I know that Sate has done quite a fair bit of playtesting it recently for the L deck, which I'm super excited to see what everyone comes up with. Little plug for the L deck design competition. And but yeah, in the same manner that maybe everyone has a book inside them, but it's about getting the job of editing and everything done.
Yeah.
and maybe everyone has an idea for, you know, a bit of jewelry or fashion, or I mean, everyone's a strong word, isn't it? But so many people will have these ideas, but then it's about going through that process and going through actually quite a difficult amount of work to finish it, because that editing, it can be quite laborious, that writing down of the rules, that checking the stuff. I mean, frankly, if I'm going to be honest, the fact that I have left the rules editing for Puzzle quite a bit later than it should have been, it's just because, yeah, it's kind of hard work, and
Yeah.
and so many things are fun, but they involve slightly tricky work. Like, I love having you on, and I'm not having a go at you or anyone else that's coming on. I love having everyone on, and I'd love anyone who's interested in coming on to this 10 a.m. morning show. And I mean, oh my God, Odin, it's like ridiculously early over there, isn't it? Because I think it must be like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., something like that. But if you basically, if people want to come on, like, let me know a topic and come on and join, and let's chat about something interesting to do with board games, ideally. And yeah, Sally is in Sheffield. Is that not true?
I am in Sheffield.
So, but anyway, the point is that there is work involved in everything, and like just kind of even having those gaming nights where it's like, okay, cajoling people to turn up, like having people over for tonight. It would be lovely if it was just, hey, please turn up, and then everyone turns up. But you know, people, even in this day and age, sometimes people get a bit overtired. Maybe some people are feeling down and not able to come. So it's like, hey, are you actually coming along today?
Yeah.
And so, no, it's yeah, it's like, oh, just I think there might have been some confusion when I said it's really early over there. I was talking about Odin, who's been here for quite a bit. So Odin's based in the USA, and Odin, because, you know, did the publishing of, well, I think my personal copy is now currently in the kitchen. It's not beside me right now. Oh wait, no, it is here. That's my backup personal copy. I've got two personal copies because, you know, I can. And so,
why not?
Yeah, damn straight. I get two copies in your face. Yeah, I've got two copies. Do you have two copies?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm feeling like a failure of a human now because I don't have two copies.
Yeah, anyway, so my point is that, like, kind of just, yeah, there is work involved in setting this up, but I don't want to overstate that. There's work involved in making a game, then having to do the typing up of the rules. There's always going to be wee bits that you like more, wee bits that you like less. And when you talk about an idea for a game, it depends, what do you mean by that idea? If my idea was, okay, here's a deck of cards, and upon each card there's an instruction for something simple to do with your body, for example, one finger touching nose, one finger touching ear, two hands touching, and then you draw a card, read it aloud, do what it says, and it basically stacks up and becomes more difficult. Now that is an idea, but it's a far more developed idea than saying, hey, I would like a card game version of Twister. Now, I'm very much biased because I made Yogi, you know, I invented it. It is basically my livelihood at this point. I'm very biased, but okay, there are 3 such games that exist on the market. There is Body Party, which lasted for a bit of time. There's Yogi, which Body Party, by the way, it's actually a really good game if you are with people that you're comfortable touching, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So if you're with people that you are comfortable touching, then Body Party is a really good game. It's basically jam cards between part of you and part of them. So it's like shoulder touching their foot, for example. And it's a more extreme than, Yogi or Twister. And then there's my game, and then there's Twister, the card game, which I don't think I should get into the reasons why I don't like it, because that seems a bit unprofessional.
We'll just be swiftly on.
Yeah, but yeah, my point is that if you said, okay, I've got this version, that this idea, like from that you could go into any of these ideas. But if I described my idea for Yogi exactly as I said it, yes, you might have different cards. You might come up with cards that arguably aren't as good as some of the ones that I came up with, that might not be as balanced. It might not be possible to do all of them exactly at the same time, which I think is a strong point of the way I developed that game. But that is, I would say, 95% of what that game is. From that, I think that anyone could have taken what I just said and turned it into a commercially successful game. And I do believe that, because I believe that there are some games that do have an idea where a 30-second, 60-second pitch is basically tells you all you need to know to functionally replicate that. And yeah, it's yeah, we've got the whole balance. Anyway, so what's going to happen with your game?
Well, I definitely need to do a lot more development on it at the minute. I've not really touched it for quite some time, because things have just been so busy with the business. And yeah, I'm not very good at having of like defining downtime. It's something I need to get better at. So I will work Saturday and Sunday, and I will work, you know, into the evening, basically, unless I have something on in an evening, like video chatting or meeting a friend or whatever. I will be working. I find it very difficult to switch off. So because of that, it's hard to kind of go, no, I need to take a break from this and do something else. And if I do have a break, it's like, no, I need to have like genuine downtime where I'm doing nothing. Because I'm going to, you know, like burn out basically if I don't. To stop and do nothing is I really struggle with it. So I need to try and build in some like game development time. Because I think it could be a really good game. It's a game I would want to play, but as we were saying earlier, it needs a lot more development, and I need to rewrite the rules. And I have play tested it a couple of times and got some really good feedback, so I need to kind of develop it from that feedback, and then, you know, play test it again and whatnot. So I will get round to it at some point. It is still on the cards, haha, because it's a card game. I'm so with it.
But I think that it is worth noting that no matter how far you get, I think there is always value in the act of creation, even if it's just, okay, here's a story that I wrote, and hey, it's not being edited or anything. It's not in a situation where I want other people to even read it, but at least I had the process of writing it. And there is value in that act of creation, even if it's literally just for the joy of creation and the intellectual stimulation. Maybe you make the game, and I know that there have been some people who say, yes, for me the end goal is just to, I think it was Leanne the other day who was yesterday, who was saying that for them the end goal is just to make a game and to say, yes, I've been able to make a game that works and it's not terrible. I mean, honestly, today's market doesn't need 5, 6, 7 out of 10 games, if you know what I mean. Like, it depends. If you get a 7 out of 10 average rating on Board Game Geek, that's pretty darn amazing. let's be honest, 7 out of 10 is amazing on Board Game Geek. But when I say a 7 out of 10 game, I mean a 7 out of 10 from the target audience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, there should be at least some people who are willing to give the game a 9 or 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It means that there's some people who absolutely love it, and then it's something that the game does different, and it feels like everything. If you are going to, like, with mass production, it's a different thing, but with bespoke creations, it's like, okay, what are you doing? And you're bringing a service, you're bringing joy of, okay, having that specific thing that someone wants, whether it's a map of the exact locations of where they were met and where they're getting married and stuff, or whatever. And yeah, I think talking about taking downtime, I also want to echo what everyone else has been saying, that it is really hard to do. And yeah, I've been chatting to Jason. Jason is helping me with my scheduling and saying, yeah, I'm going to try and take some time off. Thursday, I'm going to try and take the daytime off at least.
Ooh.
And also Sunday, I'm going to try and have a little cycle, and I'll see how busy the shop is, because there's one shop in Camden that I quite like. I'm not going to say the name because, you know, I don't want other people to go there. But basically, I like one bubble tea, which is called a salty matcha. It's like matcha tea, but it's kind of salty.
Sounds interesting.
I really like it. Anyway, so it's like an entire meal. If you get the large container, you have that. And I've got to be honest, like, when lockdown stopped and then shops opened, I was on this long bicycle ride, and then I got the salty matcha, and then I came back, and then I had a Chinese takeaway, but I had like stuff from, basically it should have been for 2 people, and then I ate it all, and I felt a bit sick. And I should have really bought a little bit of less stuff, is the truth. But yeah, that was me for like a few weeks, and that was my first takeaway for about 4 months, I want to say.
Well,
but I'm going to have something on Thursday, which is tomorrow, and that's what I'm looking forward to. But it has been lovely, Sally. I would love to have you on again in like a few weeks or a month or whenever, just to catch up and see how you're getting on. Yeah. And because it's lovely, and just to give a shout out to you, you are basically the reason that I started this show.
Thanks.
I mean, in a roundabout way, I mean, if it was just for you, I wouldn't have started this show. A lot of it is me doing stuff, and a lot of it is Heather Newton. But basically, the outside influence is basically you. I can't remember who else, everyone else who's been turning up to the Tuesday, Thursday, and originally it was Sunday as well. And then you were like there, we were having the chat after, what was it, 14th of March, approximately? Yeah. Something like that. And after Aircon, we were like, yeah, this person's a douche, like they're just being really horrible. And hey, do you want to get together, because we're not dancing, it's a bit sad, all the dancing's cancelled. And then we got together and played a game which is now called Freemail, and it's totally changed now. It's only 1, 2, and 3 letter words, and it's only 18 cards that you use, so it's a bit shorter. But yeah, it's kind of changed quite a bit since you've been on. Like, we've got the Tuesday there, it's playtesting. Thursday, it's like games we like, and stop doing the Sunday because other stuff going on Sunday and want to get back to life. And then I was just enjoying that. And then Heather Newton told me, hey, there's this one person who started doing this daily show. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I should do that. That'll be a thing to do. And it's just been so much fun. And it's lovely kind of chatting to you. And of course, you are always welcome. And I don't have to answer right now, but I do want to invite you on to my special birthday show, which is going to be on Thursday, 1st of July, 1st of August, and 2nd of August. At 2 p.m, we're going to be playing In a Bond. I don't know if you've heard of that. Yes,
and you sent me the linky things. Yeah.
Awesome. Brilliant. I am really excited to have you on. And if you can make it, if you can't, then I totally understand. But it would be super lovely. And is there anything else that? Yeah, let's run through the things. Things that, if you have enjoyed this, then please do go to stuffbybez.com, twitter.com/stuffbybez, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, where most of you are, facebook.com/thingsbybez. I probably need to get someone else to help me change that, and stuffbybez@gmail.com. And if people want to check in with you, where can people find you? I will try and find the links.
So it's thecraftingjones.com, contact@thecraftingjones.com for emails. So Facebook is The Crafting Jones, Instagram The Crafting Jones, Pinterest The Crafting Jones, and Twitter, annoyingly, is Crafting Jones, because The Crafting Jones is one character too long for the name. Yeah, but never mind. So everything is The Crafting Jones except Twitter, which is Crafting Jones.
Oh, just to say, if your phone dies, it was lovely to have you, Odin, and thank you so much for tuning in. And let me know if you want to be on. Basically, I've just not reached out to American people or Canadian people because I assume that this is going to be too early for them. But yeah, and I have put all the links in the comments. If you're on YouTube watching after the fact, then it's in the show notes bit description. That's what it's called, description. And yeah, that is where you can find us. So what are we looking forward to? I know it's tomorrow. But I am genuinely just talking about it. I'm looking forward to this salty match. And you know what? Even if I have to stand in the middle of the road whilst the queue kind of dissipates, I'm going to go there right after the show tomorrow, after I've spoken to Phoebe. And then I'm going to cycle over.
Lit up. I can tell how excited you are about it.
I'm going to get some. So I know not tapioca balls aren't for everyone, but I'm going to get some tapioca balls, and there's the coconut jelly.
Nice. Good call.
That's what I'm going for, and that's going to be my main meal of the day.
That sounds brilliant.
I'm really excited for it. Today I am hopefully going to have people, well, one person over for gaming, and hopefully Mina and maybe Zach from the house will join in. That will be lovely if we can have a kind of household thing. We are privileged to have a garden, and that is what I'm looking forward to today. My personal daily hope and ambition is I really I feel bad because UK Games Expo, I kind of got myself involved in helping out with organising people for a design track. I didn't quite realise what I was getting myself involved in. And then it's like, okay, now I feel like I'm letting down Richard and Alex Sager, but I'm going to kind of try and at least move forwards on that today, reach out to everyone again. And I'm reaching out to some super exciting people like Mandy Hutchinson from the Dice Tower. And that's probably the person that I'm most excited to listen to, because kind of talk to most of the other people quite a bit in real life, whereas I've talked to Mandy for like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But they're super cool. And we're also having some UK people like Emma, me.
Ah, awesome. Emma's amazing.
Yeah, and so Emma's going to be hopefully talking about being a one-person business. And so those, and everyone in the comments, feel free to share. What are you looking forward to? What are your daily hopes and ambitions? And Sally, tell me.
I am looking forward to, I've got a couple of chats later today with friends who live in other cities, so that will be really nice. I'm looking forward to that. I've got some gaming tomorrow that I'm looking forward to, and at the weekend I'm seeing a friend who I've not seen in ages. We're doing an in-person meetup, so that'll be great. And in a couple of weeks it's my mum's birthday, so my family are getting together for that, so I'm looking forward to that. So lots of lovely things.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and my daily hope / ambition is, well, I'm going to the hospital later today because I have a fractured foot. So my hope is that it's not as bad as previously thought, and that it heals really quickly and I can get off the crutches because I'm not very good on them, and it'd be good to heal quickly.
I have a couple of quick personal shouts outs.
Cool.
And if you have any shouts outs at the end, please do feel free, Sally. Firstly, the link which I am sharing, not that one, ignore that screen. It's this one. So basically there is Bez Day, obviously on those dates, and there is a small photo competition. So if you're unfamiliar with In a Bind, I probably should have gotten some photos up, but basically it was drawn in a black and white style. It was drawn in a somewhat weird style which I've never really explored since, and so the prize is going to be that you get drawn in the style of In a Bind.
Nice.
And I will, if I can, set up a rig, do a live drawing of that.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, basically to enter, you just need to send a photo of you or a friend or even like a mannequin or something involving those In a Bind or Yogi cards. And if you don't have one, there is a link that you can check out. The other thing that I do want to give a quick shout out to is the LDEC design competition, which at this point, you know, if you've not started, maybe it's getting, well, you've still got time, frankly. I mean, it's because I'm not even needing necessarily a finished game. So this is, whoops. And so this comment that I'm sharing is for the LDEC design competition, wherein you basically have to come up with a new game for the LDEC, ideally something which is a little bit different from what already exists. So if you've not played all the games, maybe look at the rules documents and look at the quick summaries, but basically just come up with an idea, and if it's playable, I will play it and give you feedback. If I literally cannot work out how to play it from your rules, and someone else cannot work out how to play it from your rules, I'll just let you know, and that will be the end of it. And for everyone else, I will be doing a lot of playtesting, giving feedback, and hopefully I want to curate this to be a thing that everyone gets involved in. Do you have anything to shout out to, Sally, right now?
Nothing specific. I don't have any competitions or anything like that at the minute, but stay tuned because I am running a competition on Friday this week, and I'll be running another one in a couple of weeks before Virtual UK Games Expo.
That sounds really cool, and there is always good stuff happening over there, so please do check out all those links that I've shared. Wrapping up, I feel like firstly it's been lovely having you on.
It's been fantastic.
Talked about, you know, there's just, I mean, I don't feel like, certainly within the UK, there's no one doing what you do, at least to the scale of what you do. I find it quite easy to believe that there must be other people in their own homes making things out of, you know, maybe not LDEC cards, but, you know, out of, you know, just playing pieces. And I have seen people doing things for themselves, but doing it on the commercial scale that you do it. I think that you are unique, at least in the UK. I mean, I don't know of anyone else in the world, but I'm not going to make that claim. I'm not.
Yeah, that's quite a big claim, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's been really interesting to hear about the drills melting the dice and turning it into dice lollipops, which kind of ruins the drill bit, and kind of the extra aggro of things that you just wouldn't consider. It's been interesting talking about sometimes striving to take a time off and making plans that you're like, okay, I'm going to get away from my screen, or I'm going to do a bit of exercise, or I'm going to go out and have a salty matcha bubble tea. And I want to just say thank you to everyone who's been watching, and especially those who've been commenting along.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Xate. Thank you, Matt. It's lovely to see you.
Is the best colour. Yes.
Thank you, Nick. It was, and Michelle. It was lovely to see you both. Thank you, Odin, for coming over. You know, when it's, I don't know what your sleep schedule's like. Did I say Alan and Xate? I'm fairly sure I did. But yeah, thank you everyone for popping along. And I like how Jess said, oh, I skimmed past it. Yeah, Jess calls this a TV program.
Awesome.
And so, yeah, thank you everyone. And most importantly, thank you, Sally.
And I want to say thank you to you, Bez, for not only having me on, but for doing this in general. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's really awesome. You're a great force of positivity in the gaming community and the world in general.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And there are the next streams. I've not written them down yet. But we are having Phoebe on, which is already scheduled on the YouTube and Facebook stream, and every day here at 10 a.m. Tomorrow is Phoebe Wild, if I look at my calendar. Friday is, Jessica, talking about distribution and manufacturing. Then Saturday is Tiz. Sunday I'm going to be talking about my week. Monday is going to be Steve D from across the other side of the world. And next Tuesday will be Alan Paul. But of course, Thursday and Tuesday we'll be playing games at 8 p.m. as we always do, except for the brief periods where we move to 8 to 10 p.m. because of, you know, political reasons, to allow people to clap or boo as their hearts desired. But we are playing games at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, and that is going to be Top Tail with the designer who I've invited on, although hopefully it won't influence us to be too nice to them, if you know what I mean. We basically already played this game twice on a Tuesday, and we decided to move it to a Thursday before inviting the designer on. I feel like I don't know if I would invite a designer on to show their game without knowing that designer beforehand, if you know what I mean, and being sure that I was able to give criticism to them, if you know what I mean. Because anyway, so that's going to be a big show. We've got like Gil Hove and lots of other people joining up, so that's quite exciting. And there is only one thing left to do. BBC Betty's Blethering channel.
Brilliant.
Oh, sorry, Andrew, I missed you. Thank you, Andrew, for joining in. And there's so many people, but thank you, Andrew. Thank you for being a lovely friend and generally good force, and everyone. That doesn't mean that the rest of you aren't friends, but there is only one thing left to do. As always, it's always a bit sad, but all good things must come to an end. And so I tell you, bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.